That was a necktie that you just saw. You know, I think it's an age-old question, really. Perhaps everyone thinks of this at least once in every lifetime. Why does the Report of the Week wear a suit in every video? I mean, if you look back at every video of mine for the most part, there is always one commonality between all of them. You know, I could be located in the car, I could be indoors, I could be in this chair here, I could be reviewing a pizza, a burrito, a drink, I could be in any setting doing anything, but there's always one consistency between every single video. Ears. And also in a lot of them I wear suits too. And I think it's a question I've been asked really since the very beginning. Since I started this YouTube channel in 2011, I know I was definitely asked it in 2012 many times since then, but it's a question that I think everyone has really had in their mind at one point or another. And I think some people come up with their own little theories. Some people might say, you know, maybe the guy, you know, maybe he's doing an internship, maybe he's got a job, he wears it for that. Maybe he wears it to feel special, maybe he wears it as costume, or maybe he wears it just because. And some people will really think deep into it, they'll come up with theories about it. Other people will see it, they'll kind of think, you know, he does what he does with the suits, and well, you know, that's it. But I think at some point everyone's kind of wondered why I wear the suits, how often I wear the suits, what do I look for in suits, and, well, we're going to cover all that in this video, so stay tuned. Let's close our eyes for about 5 seconds and think about the suits. Alright, and get ready for a story. So, you know, I started even, you know, considering I started wearing these suits long ago. I mean, goes back a while. Goes back about 10 years or so. That's when I first started getting interested in the idea of wearing formal wear. Now, I wear suits at this point every single day, whether I'm filming or not, and if I am filming a review, I don't pick out the outfit special for the video. Rather, I'm simply wearing the day's attire. So, for instance, this suit that I'm wearing right now, this gray pinstripe suit and this pattern tie, I've been wearing this all day, and, you know, just now I'm filming a video wearing what I was wearing for the day. You know, I went out, got a pizza, wearing this outfit. And that goes for every other video, too, nowadays. You know, the outfit you see me in is the outfit I was wearing for that day, and not vice versa. So number one, to get it out of the question, I wear a suit every day, all day, and for all occasions. I'll get into why in a little bit. But I first started really getting interested in the idea of menswear around 2007 or so. And of course, as they say, I was a young lad, you know, but it was already something that I was thinking of. Because before then, I didn't pay much attention to clothing. You know, I really didn't care all that much. I would wear maybe khakis, sometimes a t-shirt, sometimes a polo. Sometimes I would rock the graphic tee, and everything in between. But again, I was still young, and I really didn't care much about clothing at all. I decided my interest really in menswear was sparked after seeing old pictures and old movies for the most part. And speaking of old movies, one of the things that prompted this talk, you know, I've been watching a lot of TCM lately, and I haven't always watched classic movies, but sometimes I do. And I was watching a few older films on that channel recently, and I was kind of looking at their suits and kind of admiring them. There's one where the guy had a nice gray frock coat on. I thought, it looks really good, you know, and got me thinking, and then I decided, you know, I'm gonna start getting an idea going for this video, and, well, here we are. Well, anyway, much in a similar sense, my first interest in formal wear was sparked about a decade ago, when I was, you know, seeing old TV shows and old pictures, and I would see how formally everyone dressed back then. And, you know, I kind of said, you know, I wish more people dressed like that, and I kind of wish, you know, I could dress like that in a sense. And eventually, after much thought, I finally decided, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try not to care all that much about, you know, what other people might think, and I'm just gonna try it. Again, I was rather young at the time, but I remember I had a shirt and tie kind of laying around, and a pair of suit pants, and that was reserved for formal occasions. And I didn't know how to tie a tie yet, so I still had a clip-on tie. But the first time I ever dressed up for something other than, say, a wedding or a funeral or a formal family event or whatever you may want to call it, uh, I remember went out. I forget, it might have been to a restaurant or something like that. And I remember I put on, a dress shirt, the clip-on tie, and the suit pants. And I remember wearing it that day, and that's kind of what solidified it. I liked the way it looked. I liked the way it looked, and I felt a certain contentment, you can say, in wearing it, a certain happiness. And it was really indescribable at the time, but all I knew for certain was I liked it. And I liked dressing that way. But progress in that regard was rather slow, and for the next 2 years or so, I would still dress up on occasion, but it wasn't something that I was fully committed to just yet. I didn't really have my heart and soul into it at that point. And that changed around 2009 or so. And it all changed. I remember one night around the fall, I still had an interest in dressing nicely, but it was completely and totally solidified, I can say, when I remember I was visiting my grandmother, and I was we were talking, and at one point I was looking for something in the closet. I saw these old neckties there, and I inquired about them, and she eventually gave them all to me. It's around 40 or so neckties, all vintage, some of which I still actually wear today. Some aren't particularly in my taste, but there's some that I still wear on a regular basis, and even in some of the reviews. But they were all, 40 to maybe 60 or even 70-year-old neckties. And I came across that collection, and it was mine after that. Well, there was one problem, of course. It was really cool to be looking at all these neckties, but at the same time, I had all these ties. I didn't know how to tie a tie, nor did I have a lot of the dress shirts to wear those ties with. So I remember I thought it was so cool to have all this new clothing, all these new vintage neckties, and I was mostly focusing on the patterns and how they looked. And I remember I was kind of looking at them. I'm envisioning it now. I had them sprawled out on my bed, and I was just, kind of feeling the material and looking at all the ties, and I was kind of, really amazed by them all. It was such a, I was still young, and it was such a nice feeling to see all of this stuff here, and it was, and that's really what kind of drove in that commitment, you can say, to dressing in suits all the time, because I wanted to do something about it. And now that I had all of those resources, that finally kind of got the gears turning and kind of gave me that motivational spike there. So I began diligently learning how to tie a necktie. And, the first attempts were unsuccessful, but finally after this one tutorial, because sometimes you see the pictures, to make a necktie knot, and you see that, and it's like you take it and then you wrap it around this, and what's this guy doing? Where did that end up? What am I doing? Am I wrapping it around? How did it happen? I tried to tie a tie, and I have my hands all tied up now, and it's terribly confusing. And maybe you can relate to that if you've ever tried to tie a tie as a beginner, but it's very, very difficult for me at first. Finally found out how to do it, and eventually I got stuff, I got stuff done finally. And I started out the basic 4-in-hand knot. Now I use the half Windsor or Windsor knot when I'm tying a tie. Depends on the necktie itself. Anyway, once I had those, I decided, alright, now it's time to start amassing a collection. I didn't have a lot of money, so I was kind of buying some stuff on eBay, bought a suit here, a vest set there, some dress pants there, went to Kohl's because they had some really good sales and some good items at the time. Bought a dress shirt here, a white dress shirt there, a gray shirt, a blue shirt, and so on, and I was starting to amass a small wardrobe. I started assembling the resources, enough to now make complete outfits and even get some different ones going. I had a gray suit, a black double-breasted suit. I kind of rotate some things around, and I had a bit of a little wardrobe going on. as it started expanding, there was one barrier that I still had yet to overcome. And that was the issue of fear. Now, even though I kind of had that motivational drive to start dressing in this seemingly unique manner, since I wanted to wear this all the time, I had a lot of fear. Because I was scared of what other people would think. I mean, nowadays, you don't really see a lot of people that wear suits every day, especially to do so by their own choice. If you're in a city, you might see some businessmen or, well-paid white-collar officials still wearing a suit every day. But outside of that setting, you don't really see too much of that anymore. So, because I knew I was going to stick out like a sore thumb, in wearing a suit every day, it was very fearful, I'll tell you that. And I started building it up slowly but surely. Originally, I would just wear suits on the weekends, because at the time I had to attend classes, and I was very scared about being judged by my own peers. So I would start out by wearing it on the weekends, and as weird as that sounds, it was something that was comfortable to me. It was something that was really able to start planting those roots, to start building up that confidence and that courage from there on. So originally I would wear something maybe every Saturday and Sunday, and maybe every Saturday I would usually go out to dinner with the family, and I would wear a suit out to that restaurant. Well, finally around 2010, I decided, you know what, I'm going to change things. I'm finally going to do this. I'm going to start wearing a suit every day. And you know what? We're just going to do it. And I remember I was very scared at first to make that change. Because, sometimes you worry about being judged by others. You worry, I think everyone does, even as adults. You might worry at times, oh God, I wonder what everyone else is thinking when they see me. They're going to be saying nasty things, mean things, laughing at me, taking my picture and find out, that I'm being spread around online for, looking like a fool. You have these worries. I know I do, at least. I especially had them very bad back then, though. Nowadays, I've kind of learned to overcome those in a bit, but it's still sometimes in the back of my mind, admittedly. But, to cut to the chase, I finally just went out and did it. I remember sitting one morning, I was very scared, I was very nervous, but I said, you know what? These worries aren't going to go away until I actually put it in practice and try it out for myself. And I did. And what happened in the end? Well, I saw a few heads turn, and I could kind of hear some snickering and, some people kind of being nasty. But it wasn't as bad as I had expected it to be. And it was from that day forward that I realized, you know what? There's always going to be some naysayers out there. There's always going to be some people saying something behind your back. And that's fine. You know what? They can say whatever they want to say about me, about how I dress, how I look, whatever. They can say all that they want. I'm not hearing it. It doesn't matter to me. Ignore them. And I did. And eventually, I started wearing those outfits more and more, started wearing them more confidently, started even wearing some three-piece suits, started changing things up. As time progressed into 2013, started experimenting with some of the shirt collars, and now eventually, of course, life has changed a lot since then, but today I wear a suit and tie every single day. I'll wear accessories with them sometimes. I'll wear sometimes a vest, a watch chain, sometimes I'll wear different collars. I'll wear the collars, that kind of stand up, completely, that they wore many, many years ago, and sometimes the wing collars with the neckties. I'll wear old-style coats and scarves, and even a hat or two here and there. But it was really, it was a long process. It was a long process, but it taught me something. If you want to dress a certain way, and you want to present yourself a certain way, and you want to appear a certain way, don't be afraid to do it. Some people, they might be nasty, they might be mean, but if it gives you that happiness, if it gives you that contentment, and you like to dress a certain way, don't let anyone else stop you, and wear what you would like to wear. And it was those thoughts that really helped me overcome that hurdle there, and really got me to get really get past those boundaries there to be able to wear a suit and tie every day because I like to wear it. I just like to wear this type of clothing every day. That's my own personal style. It makes me very happy to dress like this, and that's what I do. Now, one other question might arise here. Why do you wear the type of suit that you wear? Because obviously, this isn't really a modern suit. The lapels are too wide for it to be a modern suit. The jacket's too long. The pattern is a bit outdated. The pants are pleated and roomy, and the tie isn't really modern. It's a wider necktie. Why do you dress this certain way? Well, I think, number one, to kind of, sometimes they say a picture paints 1,000 words, doesn't it? I think, number one, before we can really start talking about certain styles of suits, I think you need to see a few for yourself, really. So I now present you a brief interlude and a special Review Bra fashion show, where you'll get to see a few of the suits that I wear on the regular. We'll be back in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. This suit I got for $1 at a thrift store, so I thought, hey, it's a pretty good deal for what it is. Changing it up. Wow, wasn't that glorious? My favorite suit of the ones that you saw there, that was the one with the orange dots on it. Wrong thing. Now, if there's one thing that you noticed, perhaps, about all the suits, and at least I noticed this, well, perhaps they are considered oversized by today's standards, but number one, they're all older style. All of them, the pants are wider, roomier. They all have pleats. Most of them have a crease and usually a cuff as well. Not all of them, though. That's an exception. All the jackets are a little longer and usually have wider lapels, and they're all in usually darker colors for the most part. Again, that's not the total case, but that's how the majority of them are. The reason why I came about liking these older suits was around 2014. Before then, I was mostly interested in patterns and colors and not the actual fit of the suits. So I was wearing a little bit of everything. I was wearing some modern attire. If you check back some of the older videos, I was actually wearing some pretty modern suits. Mixed in with, some really drapey suits from, Steve Harvey and the like. That's what I was wearing in the famous Pan Pizza review. And in 2014, I really started paying attention to a specific style of suits. after I got a new double-breasted suit. It was this gray pinstripe double-breasted suit. I actually still wear it to this day. And it was distinctly a 90s suit. You know, had the wide legs, the pleats, the jacket. I tried it on. It was so comfortable, and I really, really liked the way that it looked, too. And it was from that I made the realization, you know, I like this suit, and I kind of want to get more like it. So I started examining the things that this suit had. And I was thinking, well, the pants are roomy, they're pleated, the jacket is longer, wide lapels, and I began coming to these realizations, well, what types of suits are like this? Well, suits from the 1980s and 1990s. And that's when I started exclusively buying clothing from that era, because that's when I really realized the specific type of suit that I like. And it was from there that I really started collecting this type of suit. That's the type of style that I think has stuck with me. And from then, that's all that I've really been wearing at this point. The question may come about, and also if you are curious, I'm perfectly fine with modern suits today. They're not my thing, they're not for me. But if they're for you and you like modern suits, I have no problem with that whatsoever. You might be wondering, you know, you got all these suits, oh boy, you must be a lottery winner, you know, you must have amassed a fortune. But to be quite honest, because these suits that I wear, such as these two and the one that I have on, you know, I have all these suits right here, because they're not in style today, and they're not new, they're not worth a lot of money, really. I can buy these suits online on eBay between, you know, 20 and 40 bucks a piece. I could go down to Goodwill, get a suit for anywhere from $1 to maybe $20, $30. But that's how much I end up paying per garment. And they're quality suits. They might be used suits, but they're in great condition. They're not stained, they're not torn, they're not terribly worn either. And again, they're good quality suits. I'm sure they were, you know, probably at a good price when they were first released, but because they're just a used suit and it's in an older style, you know, the price of them is tanked, and it's great for me because I like that older style, and it's very easy for to come by them nowadays. So that's how I'm able to amass such a collection of older clothing, because it's incredibly inexpensive when you're shopping around at tag stores and thrift stores and even online a bit as well. Again, I wear a suit every day. I have around 20 suits in my current possession at this location, and then around 20 in another location. I have a lot of dress shirts, too, maybe around 20 or 30 or so. Lots of ties, you know, in the hundreds. But it's a collection I've built up slowly and over time, and always very conscious of the amount spent on it as well. And I always, you know, frequent the thrift stores often to find a good deal, and that's how I was able to get this wardrobe of mine. But that's really all that I have for you, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a little random video, kind of addressing why I wear a suit every day. You know, again, I wear one just because I like to wear one. How I wear a suit every day, I put it on, and I put it on when I get dressed. And again, how I came to be wearing a suit all the time, and you know, why I do it. So that's really my little random video for you. We'll get some more food-related videos coming up after this one, so stay tuned for that. And after that, I hope you have a great Thursday. I hope you enjoyed this video. Your feedback is appreciated, so let me know what you thought of this one, and let me know if I should do more random videos such as this one. Anyway, that's all that I got for you. I'm your host, the Report of the Week. Thank you, and take care.